Hey, welcome back to the show, survivors. We appreciate you guys tuning in. We have a very special show tonight, something that kind of hits home for all of us law enforcement, retired and still active. We're going to be talking about the failure of a search that ended up costing 2 officers their lives.
2 separate incidents.
Yeah,
and in the last just few months.
Yeah. So you're going to want to stay tuned and listen to how this all plays out and our opinion on it. We do appreciate you guys tuning in. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. We appreciate it. And that thumbs up. Thank you very much. We're almost at 500 subscribers. We'll be there by the end of the year, we're hoping. So anyway, all right. Hey, John, you got a beer moment for us, buddy?
Yeah, we're going to do Upland Brewing Company's Wheat Ale.
Speaking of 500, didn't John say that he would shave his mustache if we got 500?
No.
I think he did say that.
That's exactly the way I remember it.
He did.
If you guys want
John's and all.
If you guys want John to shave his mustache and his goatee when we hit 500, let us know in the comments below.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. I don't care what wager.
I'll shave my mustache. I'll grow a mustache if we have 500. It'll be almost as white as your head.
Yeah, walrus.
Right?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Sorry. So anyway, can I do my goddamn beer moment? Knucklehead?
I don't know, can you?
So we're doing the Upland Brewing Company Wheat Ale.
I'm going to give it 5 because it lacks any real beer flavor. I don't know. It just tastes kind of like a flat something.
So I'm going to give it a 5 on taste, but a 7 on drinkability.
You're such an asshole.
Cheers, bitch. Because I think that works out to about a 6. Yes.
Here's why they're laughing. We tried to go live on Facebook, okay? And because I have an older computer and the video card sucks, it was a failure. And we haven't went live in over a year. And I probably screwed something up. But anyway, our equipment just couldn't handle it. And during that show that we thought was a show that wasn't.
So this is our second beer moment of the show.
John had said the drinkability, so Camille just stole his thunder. So that's why they're arguing. Anyway, go ahead with your drinkability.
Yeah. Well, because I'm going to be honest and consistent. I will give it a 5 for taste. It lacks crispness.
It does last Christmas.
It lacks Christmas?
Yes, a 5 for flavor, but a 7 for drinkability, and therefore I will give it a 6.
Well, we have matching reviews. Interesting.
Did I give my number?
You did.
Yeah. This has got such a weird bad aftertaste. I don't know why, but it's like it kind of sticks on your. You want to like scrape it off your tongue, like.
Right.
I mean, it's not nasty or anything. It's just a weird, aftertaste.
Well, you may be still tasting the beer from the previous show.
From last week. All right, John, where did this beer come from?
Kenny's Grocery, located in Orange City, 1792 in French. And stop by and tell them you saw about them on Surviving the Batch.
And don't we have a sticker in there somewhere?
No, we do have a sticker.
We do have a sticker.
Not a sticker here. There is a Surviving the Badge sticker in
Kenny's. Yes, sir.
Nice.
And if you can find that sticker and describe exactly where that sticker is and send us an email either with a picture or a perfect description of where that sticker is in Kenny's Grocery, send it to retiredcopsrule@gmail.com. That's our email. I will send you a sticker, but you got to send me your address and everything so that I can send you a sticker.
Yeah, make sure anytime we send out stickers such as for trivia or whatever. I know a couple weeks ago we had somebody who didn't send their address, so we couldn't send out a sticker. So if you're a past winner, if you're a current winner, make sure and email us your address so we can send you the sticker.
Smurfly.
And we have some other ads, or not, sponsors.
We do. We have Kristen and Tom Clem. They're on your screen now. Phone number's there. They're also going to be in the description below. They are with Exit Advantage Realty. If you're ready to buy or sell your home, these are the folks that you want to call. I'm telling you, they are absolutely fantastic. Both of them at one point have been first responders and or still are, or Kristen was a school teacher. These are absolutely dynamite people. They have a family, they care about families, and they will take care of yours. So we really appreciate that very much. Thank you guys for all of your sponsorship. And we have one more, or actually two more sponsors. We have Clem Property Investments. John, there it is, Clement Company Property Investments. If you guys are ready to sell a piece of property, this guy is ready to buy. He's doing a couple of flip houses right now, Tom is. And CNR Constructors, which will be a sponsor I'll mention in a minute, they're doing the all of the remodel and everything for those flip houses. Tom is a Marine Corps veteran. He is also a full-time Sheriff's Office deputy and has been a public servant for over 30 years in our community and with the United States Marine Corps. So thank you, Tom, for your service, brother. You are the bomb.com, my friend. And last but not least is who I work for, CNR Constructors. They are a general contractor out of Central Florida. They do remodels, they do commercial build-outs, and they are excellent. Their work is excellent. We are growing exponentially and getting busier and busier and busier. I'll tell you, that's why I look so tired right now. We have been working our tails off out there, and they are doing dynamite work. So if you're ready to do a remodel, have your business, if you need a build out of your business, build to suit, these guys can do it. Call them. All their information and all of our sponsors' information is down below in the comments. Thank you very much. All right, guys.
All right. As of today, we've had 136 police officers killed in the line of duty this year, 34 by gunfire, which we mentioned last week was up 21%, which is unfortunate because everything was trending down. And then this, if you look, because I do a search, Officer Down Memorial page, and they track all in the line of duty deaths since the beginning of time. And you can go back to the 1920s and the 30s and the teens and see all the officers who have...
Is that the beginning of time?
Yes.
Back when you were a rookie.
Yeah, 1919.
Right here.
All right. How many hours was the academy back? Like a week?
It was 320 hours is all it was. 320.
1919?
We didn't have to
That's a lot.
We didn't have to wear a uniform. We didn't have to wear none of that crap. We came in freaking blue jeans and a polo shirt if you were fancy. Some guys wore cowboy hats. Some guys wore baseball hats. I mean, there was none of that trash.
So we'll get into
that morning stuff.
We'll get into that. We'll get into the academy stuff in just a few minutes. Anyway, gunfire's up 21%. We've lost 14 canines, and a lot of them recently have also been killed through gunfire. So, to all the officers lost in the line of duty, we salute you. Rest in peace.
God bless you and your families.
All right. I have a trivia question for a classic Surviving a Bad Sticker.
And that's what the sticker looks like, guys. It looks just like this. If you're going to Kenny's, it's going to be that size, and it's going to be stuck somewhere in a very conspicuous location. Go ahead with your trivia.
So we have some of those still left. Trivia question. This is kind of an easy one. There's not much research in it. What was the first federal law enforcement agency in the United States? What was the first federal law enforcement agency in the United States? The first one to answer correctly in the comments down below, LT will reach out to you and say, hey, need your address so
Absolutely.
we can send it.
Absolutely.
Send a sticker.
Were they the ones who said you couldn't own Canon?
Yes.
Back.
Cannon.
Good job.
And make sure you subscribe and like below, guys, and hit that thumbs up. We really appreciate it. We're trying to get to 500. You know, like I said, appreciate it.
Mustache
Thank you.
goes at 500.
No, it does not.
All right. Hey, I know you've seen it. LT, have you seen the video, guys under arrest? And I don't remember what he was charged with. If it was something violent or whatever. Do you remember?
I do not remember.
Okay. They bring this guy in. He's got a mustache a lot like yours, and they sit him down in the interview room.
Is that what you call those?
I am using some black.
Yeah?
Is that what you
Mustache
call
Max?
Well, you got to start.
So they bring this guy in, they put him in the interview room, and they say, hey, you want some water? And he says, yeah, I like some water. And he opens the cap, and the detective drops his stuff down, and he's preparing for an interview, and he steps out, and the guy takes a big swig of water, drops it down, and grabs a gun out of his crotchal region.
Crotchal region. Is that
Crotchal
the word?
region.
Is that a word?
It is-
Crotchal region?
Yes, crotchal. Yes, of course. Why are you questioning me? Of course. it's a
Crotchal.
word. Yes,
All right.
look it up. Crotchal region. So he grabs a 45. It's not just some kind of zip gun. He actually grabs a 45 from the area of his junk. Let's go with that.
The crotchal region.
Crotchal region, and puts it to his forehead, his temple, and shoots himself. Bang, dead. And the detective comes in and says, "Oh shit, nobody shook him." And that could have been a disaster. That could have been that detective. And 45 usually carries 7 rounds. So I say that because we're going to talk about a couple of cases
That happened
here.
in our agency. In the back seat of a car.
Really?
It happened in our agency
What
in
happened?
the back seat of a car.
In your first
One
day,
of-
or
No. In
Most
the
recent one?
agency we all 3 worked for.
Okay.
He didn't fire, but one of the officers he was an older officer, and he was famous for DUIs and everything else. And everybody go,
Oh, yeah.
Arrested the guy, put him in the car, got him in there, and the guy started going kind of bonkers in the back seat of the car. And the next thing you know, they go in to secure him so that he'll quit doing all the crap he was doing. And there was a damn revolver laying in the floorboard of the frickin' backseat of the patrol car. And he was trying to get to it, which is why he was flipping around and trying to get to the thing, because he was handcuffed behind his back. He was trying to get the handcuffs around the front. Thank God his backup officer heard the commotion and opened the door and saw him as he was trying to get the handcuffs around in front of him, because probably 1, if not 2 officers would have died that night.
It's funny you say that. Anyway, you guys look up this video of the interrogation. It's hard to find on YouTube, but it is out there.
Just search crotchal region.
Just search crotchal region. But there was another one where this guy, they pick up, I don't know if it's New York, New Jersey, it looked like a big city, and this guy is just blowed out of his tree, and he's drunk, and he pulls his gun out, and he keeps dropping it. And there's a video in the back seat. Did you guys have video
seen
of the
it.
back seats?
Yes. But only probably the last, I don't
7,
know.
8 years?
Yeah, I was going to say 7, 8, 9
Okay.
years. Our first video cameras that we had, which we were one of the first agencies in Central Florida to have them.
Right.
They didn't have backseat cameras, but they had the full
Yeah,
front
yeah.
cameras.
Remember those.
And we were we were the first in our county to have body cameras.
Right.
And I was on the news because of it.
Yeah, he must have screwed something up.
No. I was some drunk.
So in this video,
He's been a famous guy.
Speaking of drunks, in this video, he keeps dropping the gun, and I think it's an up north city because there's an officer and a partner in the same vehicle.
Okay.
Unless
Riding
it's
double.
a trainee, riding double.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, "What are you doing back there?" And he's just shit faced. And finally, they pull over, and they realize he's trying to get a gun that he had pulled out of his
Crotchal region.
And that's what that guy did to our officer,
Yeah.
who kept trying to get it, and then it slid out of his shorts and fell down on the floor.
Yeah. So, specifically, let's talk about a couple of cases that happened recently. May 16th, 2020, Deputy Chief...
2022.
Keep him
20?
straight, John.
22.
There's a reason I'm going to get. I want the dates to be
Okay.
accurate.
May 16th, 2022, Chief Deputy Cody Cash was shot and killed in front of the sheriff's office. And I didn't write down the state where it happened. But the critical incident team had arrested this individual for an outstanding warrant. And he was being interviewed for the narcotics case and everything. And he asked for a smoke break. And he says, hey, guys, can I get a smoke break? And we've all been investigations. And you're like, yeah, because that helps with that rapport, and you might get more out of them. Well, unfortunately, during the smoke break, this dirtbag produces a pistol, probably from his crotchal region, a concealed handgun, and shoots Chief Deputy Cash and kills him. And then the other officers respond and killing the suspect. More recently, June 22nd of 2022, a detention officer Story was shot and killed while processing a suspect into the detention facility. He was standing in a restroom. The suspect was changing from civilian clothes into jail uniform, and he produced a gun and he shot and killed detention officer Story. So, you guys, we've been to the academy. We probably similar.
I went to Volusia.
Yeah, we but I mean, it's all the same thing. You check the junk.
Yeah,
and
you have to.
My very first job in law enforcement when I was freaking 19, I actually did prisoner transport for an agency, and you got to check that junk. That's why it's titled "Check That Junk," because that's where the crotchal region. That's where people are going to keep stuff.
And the reason I said the dates, I said the dates are important because if your agency is doing their job, the supervisors, the admin, okay, they're staying on top of what's happening.
Right. Very true.
Yeah. Like, hey, an officer down because this happened. Officer down because that happened. It doesn't have to be in your local area.
Right.
Okay. And this happened the first
1 month and 6 days later.
The first incident happened on May 16th, 2022. Okay, so almost every agency should be saying, sergeants should be telling their people, hey guys, you gotta make sure you search these suspects. You gotta make sure you search them. That's in May. All right, so I don't care how small your agency is, every agency has access to the internet. They should be finding this stuff, having someone getting emails or updates on this stuff. And there shouldn't have been a cop in the United States of America who wasn't aware of this as an incident, so that the one that happened in June,
right at a month later.
A month later wasn't going to happen.
So, LT, tell us about that. Did you guys keep on top of...
Well, we got bulletins throughout the state of Florida if there was like a training, issue or something that someone had found that, or it was some kind of officer death always came through. We always got bolos through the teletype.
Did it tell the circumstances?
Well, it told a little bit of the circumstance. Suspect, was under arrest and gun, whatever. But it was very easy, though, to look at that. And then our admin and I always tried to make sure that information was passed along just as absolutely as soon as possible. But most of our guys were so good, like John and all, they knew this crap. They saw it on the news or they saw, officers down, page, whatever. And they would bring it up in our briefings. We did briefings before every shift. You did a briefing. The only time you didn't do it is if calls were flying like crazy and you didn't have time to do briefing.
But that was rare.
Very rare. But at night, later, we would all sit down, do whatever, and they would go over it. We would talk about it. We'd go over it. And we would meet and have little training sessions on the squad, and say, hey, what John would come to me and he would go, hey, Sarge, back when I was a sergeant, hey, Sarge, we got some bad shit that happened. We need to talk to the guys about this. I'm like, absolutely, let's do it. Bring him in. John would talk to him. I'd talk to him, whatever. And it was always covered. Always. We would always go over officer safety stuff.
So if you were to give advice to a new sergeant, regarding this? What would you suggest?
I would say check your teletypes from your agencies, check your officer down page, check any information you can find about safety information that is coming out of the interwebs or wherever it's coming from, the teletype machine, wherever it's coming from. Check on that. Get a backstory. Find out what happened. Get as much information as you can, because it's eventually going to save one of your officers. Big time. It's going to save their life or save them from being critically injured where they can't work anymore, whatever it is. But, yeah, man, you got to stay up on your training. It's like with these school shootings and all. Now all over our local news here in Central Florida, you see this sheriff and that sheriff and this sheriff. Now the big thing is they're putting all over training for active shooter. Well, I got news for you, folks. You're seeing that on the news because it's the hot topic right now. We've been doing that shit for 10 years in the Central Florida area. Every freaking, every second quarter, I think, or at least once a year, we would go through active shooter.
But then again, we're doing active shooter training now because the schools are out of session. So yes, we do the active shooter training while schools are out of session.
So that we can use the school.
So they can use the school. And, but, I mean, the students go through their active shooter drills, but we don't use actual students in for active shooter training. So,
but they do use the staff, and they use the, when they can, they'll use the staff, or they'll use actors, civilians that have volunteered to come in. Like I saw one on the news the other day that at a hospital, and there were actually employees of the hospital that volunteered, to be a part of this role-playing incident. And I mean, it's good. I'm not saying it's not a good thing, but just because you're seeing it on the news, I don't want everybody to think, oh, they're just now training. Maybe some agencies are, but I can tell you our agency did it yearly. And for all you FD folks out there, you're going to love this, because I saw my buddy Brandon from the agency fire department where we worked had brought it up, and one of the posts from Volusia County. Did you include FD and EMS in your active shooter drills? I don't know if this county did. I do know that our county did include the FD and EMS in the active shooter training. They were given vests. No, they weren't given weapons, but they were given bullet-resistant ballistic vests, and they had their packs, and they followed the stack going in, whoever was going in. Now, this is on an organized stack.
Right.
Obviously, if you're the first two there, you're running in. But on an organized stack, they went in with
and every officer and or firefighter or paramedic had to go through the training.
And they all had to in our whole county. So they knew what their role was, what their position was. It was phenomenal. Our county, I praise God every day that I worked in the county we worked at, which is Seminole County in Florida. They were so progressive in our training with all of the agencies that when we had the incident where we thought we had an active shooter at one of our local high schools, man, when we got there, it was organized chaos, but our guys were donning their steel-plated vests, their helmets, their rifles, their go bags, and they were going in the school, man. And it was a deputy here, this agency here, this agency here. We didn't care who you worked for.
No.
Everybody was plowing in that school.
That is the one great thing about Seminole County.
Unbelievable.
It didn't matter what agency you worked for. Big team. If you wore tan, blue, or green,
one big family, man.
We're law enforcement, and we're all working together.
And we all had the same radio channels that we could talk to each other on. They had a county net channel. So if you guys are listening and you're from an agency, where they don't have all this, man, and they can write grants, you can get this kind of stuff in your counties. It saves freaking not only civilian lives, but law enforcement lives. All right, go ahead.
Speaking of...
you asked me a question, sorry.
No, you're fine, whatever. Tangent McGee, whatever.
Yeah.
So, speaking of saving lives, so why does this happen? John?
Well, because officers
don't want to what?
Well, you're going to say they don't want to check their junk, but officers get lazy on searches.
Complacent.
Complacent.
Yep.
Okay, I mean, I know it was drilled into me because you were the FTO coordinator when I was hired.
Yes, I was.
Okay. Cuff, then search.
Yep.
Cuff, then search. Okay. If you got probable cause to arrest someone, you put the cuffs on them. Mm-hmm. Then you search them.
Yep.
And you search them properly.
Yep.
You know, now there's a difference between stop and frisk and cuff and search.
Yes.
Okay, cuff and search is you have probable cause to make an arrest. Okay, but even if you're doing a stop and frisk, which is still legal.
Yeah, it is.
Even though New York doesn't want to use it.
Right. Stop and frisk is still legal. You know, you put your hand in places you don't want to normally put your hand.
Right.
And we had a rule at our agency that unless it was an emergency type situation where you had no choice but to do it by yourself, no officer was to make a physical arrest of a suspect without a backup unit present. And it's just a great rule to have because you just never know. You see the videos, there are thousands of videos out there on YouTube where a sole officer, lone officer's out there, he gets ready to make an arrest. The suspect turns around, the fight's on, he gets his gun, he shoots him, whatever else.
As soon as the handcuffs come out, it's a fight or flight response.
Right. So that's why we had, unless, like I said, you roll on scene, the guy's freaking going nuts, and you got to handcuff him. You got to put him under arrest right then to control him and save lives. Then, I mean, you can't wait on back up.
And officers should be listening to the radio anyway. They know, hey, that's a stolen vehicle. Officers are on the way.
The rule is unless it is an emergency situation, you are not to put handcuffs on somebody unless a backup was present.
So, do you think that officers, this new, and I hate to be the old guy who talks about the new generation, but we've had, like John pointed out, two in right at a month. Do you think this new generation is being more, because a search is very intrusive.
It is.
It is the most, besides a strip search, but it's the most intrusive you can do during an arrest.
Right.
Do you think that I don't know if it's society or there's ingrainedness that you're just not doing the search?
Well, let John finish his point about handcuffing real fast, and then we'll hit that.
No, it was getting back to, and I forget where you were going with something that I want to.
We had to have backup. It was a rule.
Yeah, the whole backup thing, again, going back to Seminole County where we worked, we had that benefit of, it was a smaller county, and every city played well along with the deputies and state agencies. So it didn't matter what city you were from.
Absolutely.
They all, if I needed help, any city could come help me.
Yep.
Any
Mutual aid agreement. Yep.
Mutual aid agreements were in, and you start getting into some rural counties or rural areas where your nearest backup is 50 miles away.
Yeah. 30 minutes, man.
So I mean, I understand what you're saying. If you have that luxury of waiting for a second unit to
make
be
it
on
a
scene,
rule. If you have that luxury, make it a damn rule.
Well, what I'm saying is, if you have that luxury of, you can wait 30 minutes for your backup to get there.
Yeah.
Depends on the situation.
But if you have the luxury of having somebody right around the corner, within a minute or two, make it a damn rule that they have to wait for a backup unit to get there before they put handcuffs on somebody.
Now I get the
if
backup.
you don't, then okay, you don't.
But I get the backup thing, and just to play devil's advocate here, I'm backing up John. He does a search. I'm not going to research him. Backup doesn't help me in this situation.
I was talking about handcuffing and putting handcuffs on somebody. You just got a second unit for officer safety.
Right. No, I totally agree with that. 100%.
So go ahead.
Well, the next thing is, anytime you take custody of someone who's under arrest, okay, so the arresting officer in both these situations.
Well, one of them's not you're right. In both situations, it was not the arresting officer who was killed.
Okay, so if you take custody of an arrestee, right, as much as I like to trust all the officers I worked with, I don't trust any of them to search a suspect properly because that's on me. So if I'm taking custody from you,
You're searching again.
I'm going to search him again.
And I need to not take that personally.
Right.
And you know what? When you said that, I thought about the gun safety thing. If I give you a gun and I say this gun is not loaded,
Yeah.
and I give it to you, I want you to check to see if it's loaded.
Right.
So we should look at arrestees the same way.
Right. So
But no, Alec, go ahead, pull the trigger.
Still waiting
Alec
for that.
Baldwin is a racist murderer.
I'm
just saying.
I'm still waiting for. I mean, come on.
I know.
You know that the lab report is done. From
Watch our video on the Alec Baldwin shooting. Yeah.
Ridiculous. It has not been decided yet.
So you ask a question, and I'm going to answer it. You ask a question, why is, the officers, are they being a little different than they used to be? Are they? Yes, they are. And here's the reason why. Because at the turn of every freaking knob or every freaking TV channel or everything else, they're being chastised, they're being scrutinized, they're being freaking told that they're pieces of shit and everything else. So they are scared to offend, to do their job, that they're going to offend someone, that they're going to violate somebody's rights by merely following the law and doing their job. So I guarantee you, well, number one, it's lack of training, obviously. It's lack of a proper policy, possibly. I don't know. And number three...
And admins willing to stand by their officers.
Right. And number three, it's the officer doesn't want to go to the crotchal region because he's afraid or she's afraid that, oh my God, if I go down there and I start, feeling around for a weapon, that I'm going to get sued. Because every time you turn around, a cop's being frickin' sued or splattered all over the news for doing something that the public deems wrong. And I'm telling you, I talk to these guys all the frickin' time. They're texting me all the time.
So what do we do?
They want to all get out of the job. They all want to get out of the job. If it wasn't for the financial reasons that they have to stay, they'd be gone. And do you want a cop that doesn't want to be there coming to your house and taking your burglary report?
No, burglary report, who cares?
I'm telling you, they don't want to be there. So they're not going to do a good job. That's what I'm trying to say.
But you could have a civilian do a burglary report.
What I'm talking about is, I want a cop who wants to do his job for a domestic violence call, for a sexual battery call, for a robbery call. Things that are going to result in actual, and I'm not trying to minimize burglary, but that's an over with crime. And
I was just using it as an example.
I
I'm saying you want a cop coming to your house who's pissed off and doesn't want to freaking be there. Whether it's burglary, robbery, rape, whatever. No, you don't want them there.
Right.
You want a cop that, God damn, I love this freaking job. And I want to do the best freaking job I can possibly do, like we all were for most of our career until the politics started. That's the cop you want coming. I'm not talking about some gung-ho nut job. I'm talking about a guy or a gal
who's dedicated.
That's dedicated, loves their job, loves helping people, and wants to be there. Because I'll tell you what, folks out there in YouTube land, by the way, like and subscribe and hit that thumbs up button. What a plug. I would venture to say that probably, because there's a lot of rookies coming into the job right now that don't know any freaking better, I would venture to say, I'm going to throw it out there, 40% of the cops that are out there right now, and I'm talking the whole world, 40% of the cops that are out there right now are only still in the job because they cannot afford to quit and go find a different job. Or they're so long in the tooth into the retirement that if they quit now, they lose everything.
You think it's... I thought
maybe 60%.
I thought it'd probably be higher.
I was trying to go low.
Right. No, because the societal...
There's only one I can say is not that person, and I'll tell you that off the air.
Societal angst towards officers is at a high because of all the shit that's going on and blaming of law enforcement. Who would want to put up with it?
And we've said it once, we'll say it again. We've said it 100 times on this show. We're not saying that every single cop that's out there in uniform is a good person and always does right. We're not saying that. We're not stupid. There's bad doctors, dentists, freaking mechanics, lawyers, and there's bad cops. And eventually they will be weeded out and kicked off the job or prosecuted or whatever. But we can't just go and wave a magic wand and say, oh, there's 2 bad cops, get rid of them until something happens.
The problem is politicians and media aren't saying all cops are shit or all mechanics are shit.
Oh, no, they're saying all cops are.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
If you're a cop, you're a piece of shit, you're a racist, you just like to shoot people.
I still want to understand how I keep hearing that law enforcement in America is based on the slave trade.
Right.
And recovering runaway slaves.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
When every other nation in the world has law enforcement.
And never had slavery.
Well, or they all did at some point. But, why is it racists, slave catchers in America, but the Bobbies in London aren't racist?
Yeah.
And the purpose behind them is to, perpetrate white supremacy.
The purpose behind all that is that we don't want to. They don't want to take responsibility for their own actions. Anyway, so let's land this plane.
Yes, sir.
John, searching, checking the junk, checking the crotchal region. What do we do about this?
We train, and then we train, and then we reinforce training. And then you make sure that other, your officers are aware of what's going on, and then you train some more.
I teach I teach criminal justice, and when I do my CJ2 students, I have them making a lot of arrests. Every single arrestee, I give them a gun or a knife to get into that mode of searching. And I tell them, I know you're 15, and I know you're not going to search, but eventually, if you get into law enforcement, you're going to have to check that junk. You're going to have to check that crotchal region. So I'm trying to get him into that already, that mindset.
He said crotchal region.
And here's, another thing you said, training. I agree. Training, reinforce that training, and I agree. And I'm going to add this. You, as individual officers, have to take it upon yourself, whether you've been trained or not, to do a thorough search of every frickin' part of that person that you're searching, including the crotchal region. Everywhere. Take their hat off. Guys and gals. When I say guys, I mean guys and gals. You have got to search everything. And take it upon yourself. Whether your freaking agency has a policy or not, or trained you on it or not, just freaking take it upon yourself to do the right thing.
How bad would you
save somebody's life?
How bad would you feel if you did not do the search and that ended up?
I'd lose my shit, dude. I would lose my shit.
That was my arrestee, and I didn't find the gun.
I'd quit my job. I would move to freaking Pigeonhole, freaking Nevada somewhere, and hide and never be seen again.
It'd be shattering.
Oh, it would.
It'd be earth shattering.
Could you imagine? No, I couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine.
All right, so please search
crotchal region.
Thank you, John.
And all other regions. Our mics are right here in case you can't see them. That's why we keep bending over.
Crotchal.
Oh my God. All right. I'm editing that shit out. I can tell you that right now. All right. Guys, I don't have a beer left. Oh, yeah, I do. Right here. Guys, thank you very much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. We appreciate you subscribing, you hitting that hitting that thumbs up. We really appreciate it.
Sharing.
Comments below. Yep, absolutely. Share it with all your friends because at Surviving the Badge, we still got your 6.
Salute.
Groucho region.